Part 2 of our Let's Talk Tactics special, El Clasico, coming up this weekend. I already talked about Real Madrid. You can check out that clip somewhere here. Jason will put it somewhere there. It's time to talk Barcelona. Let's talk some tactics. So this is the lineup I think Barcelona will go with. They will be relatively at full strength without Jordi Alba, who's been ruled out of this game. Luis Enrique will have a tough task of coming into this El Clasico game with attacking-minded players hitting him on the flanks. But you expect the back two of Piqué and Mascherano to be able to handle this situation. The traditional midfield three, Iniesta making his way back into the lineup, Rakitic, Iniesta and Busquets, and of course MSN up top. So I talked about this a lot on the previous clip, what Real Madrid are going to try to do. Here's a simple thing that Barcelona have to do when it comes to making sure that they're not isolated in wide areas. They've not been doing it as much. Real Sociedad had, I think 80% was a fact I read, of their first half attacks on Barcelona came from wide areas. They were getting the ball out, they were isolating Barcelona's fullbacks one-on-one and getting the ball into the box. And it's simple fundamentals of football. Barcelona have kind of avoided doing it. What they've seen is with the likes of Neymar playing up top and pushing forward in the wide areas, Jordi Alba, in the instance against Real Sociedad, was isolated one-on-one. So what happens is that Sociedad were deliberately attacking, overwhelming their left-hand side, Barcelona's right-hand side. And what that does, it drags Piqué across, drags Mascherano across, drags Jordi Alba across. Neymar, not known for his defensive capabilities, just likes to wander out here, which is an outlet if they need to play the ball out. But what they have to do is either put Busquets in this area to pick up and help Jordi Alba so he's not isolated. Well, will be Luis Enrique in this example. Or you bring Iniesta in to play in this role, who's not exactly known for his aerial ability either, but just to add a different body, add a number. Maybe Mascherano pushes further back and maybe Busquets comes in here and fills in this role. But time and time again, Barcelona are found isolated on the weak side switch. I've talked about this numerous times on tactics because it's a simple fundamental of attacking that you're taught at any stage of football. You overwhelm one flank, you try to switch the ball as quick as you can to the other flank. And if you've got a defender who's playing at left back for your opposition, who's not the tallest or not the best in the air, and you have a big man who's great in the air, maybe like a Cristiano Ronaldo, who again, I need to emphasize how good he is in the air, he's going to make that run. He's going to loop into the back post and try to get on the end of an Isco ball in or a Marcelo deep cross, try to score with his head. And Barcelona need to at least sacrifice an Iniesta when they're defending to maybe come in at a different body so that Busquets can help Piqué and so that Mascherano can therefore push a little further back and they have this sort of stability here in case the likes of Luis Enrique is isolated one-on-one. So that's a minor thing defensively. But who wants to talk about defence when it comes to Barcelona? We want to talk about how they're going to play going forward. Every time El Clasico comes on our screens, Iniesta seems to show, again, time and time, how great he can be in these games. Because what happens when Luis Enrique comes up against Real Madrid, he understands that they are solely focused on shutting down Lionel Messi. And Lionel Messi is not one to kind of lay back and be like, all right, I'll take myself wide, I'll attract my runners out so that it creates more space. But when it comes to El Clasico, he's been a little smarter recently if you've watched him, and he's allowed for more space for the likes of Iniesta to pull in. So what you'll see in this game is Messi will deliberately pull himself a little wider and try to maybe take on Marcelo one-on-one and utilize Rakitic for some strength and depth, and maybe you'll see Sergio Roberto move forward. But what that does is it drags the attention of Kovacic across here, and it will put the likes of Iniesta one-on-one with Modric, and Iniesta is fantastic at finding space in tight areas. Modric not known for his defensive capabilities. He's done well this year. They've worked out a really good partnership in there. But I think they've yet to really be tested by an attacking midfielder, the likes of Andres Iniesta, who's going to utilize Messi's movement to the best of his abilities. So what you'll see is Modric will be posed with the task of maybe coming in to provide support because, believe it or not, Suarez, as soon as Messi makes his run wide, Suarez will make this run in here and try to cause some confusion, drag maybe Ramos across. And then all of a sudden, Messi once again is one-on-one, and that's something that cannot happen. So you'll see Kovacic kind of come across, and that will allow for the likes of Rakitic to wander into this area. Then what you have is a two-on-one situation where Iniesta, time and time again, as we see in El Clasico, will be free for the weak side switch. I just talked about this and what Real Madrid are going to do. They can do the exact same thing. Barcelona are fantastic at finding Messi on the right-hand side, and then one switch of play, and you've got Neymar one-on-one with Carvajal, who, again, we're going to fancy him with one-on-one with anyone, but the same thing can be done with Iniesta. So Iniesta, you'll find him floating in a lot of areas. He won't pick up the ball directly from Busquets. More often than not, when Barcelona get the ball in this area, they'll look for these little passes in here, maybe just triangle passes to keep it. What you'll see is more direct passes, which will allow for Iniesta to be bypassed and make these late runs to try and catch on to the second ball. It seems simple, but if you watch Barcelona, as I do, when I watch them, it's almost like I'm Neo watching The Matrix. I see all the different pieces come together. It's like a game of chess. And when you pass the ball into Iniesta, it allows for the opponent to step up to him, and it kind of nullifies his space. But when you bypass one, maybe you give it to Neymar, maybe you give it directly to Messi, Iniesta immediately is triggered. I'm getting onto the second ball. I'm looking for that wall pass, as they call it here in America. I'm looking for that third man runner, which you'll see so much so with Barcelona. I'll give you a brief lesson on third man runner because I love to teach this no matter what, whether it's talking about El Clasico or whether it's talking about under 12s. The third man run is so important, and Barcelona are undoubtedly the best team in the world at doing this. So what a third man run is basically is Busquets passes the ball into Neymar. That's two men, obviously together, and you'll either find Iniesta making this run. He's a third man runner who's going to try and get onto it in here, or you'll see either Suarez or Rakitic kind of come into this area and take up the pass. That's the third man runner, and then Neymar can kind of spin in behind, and it consistently works time and time again. It's like it has a domino effect. When one man makes that third man run, another man should be triggered. All right, I got to make my third man run to get in behind. It sounds a little bit more complicated than what it is, but it's the most simple fundamental that Barcelona have managed. Lionel Messi is the expert at doing this. As soon as that ball gets into Neymar's feet, as you see here, Lionel Messi's constantly thinking in this area, I'm making this third man run, and I'm looking to try and get into it. And what happened against Sociedad? Bang, one touch and in. Real Madrid are going to have to be switched on because these third man runs will be happening all over the park. Messi will deliberately pull a little wider to try and isolate the fullbacks, which will allow for Iniesta to have a free run into the box unless Real Madrid are shored up. But I think with all the stats going in favour of Real Madrid in this game, Messi hasn't scored in 5. If Real Madrid win, Zidane will be the first manager since the 60s to win 2 consecutive games at the Nou Camp. I think it's set up for an upset, and I think Barcelona may just come away with it. I initially thought it was going to be a draw, but the more I've looked into this and the more I see that Real Madrid, despite the fact that they have been absorbing pressure very well, it's different absorbing pressure from Atletico Madrid than absorbing pressure from a hungry, angry, set to prove a point Barcelona. I think we may see the exact same scoreline as we always see in El Clasico, but in favour of Barcelona. I'm going to go for a 2-1. And I know that's contradictory from what I said earlier in the week, but this is what happens in football. You read into things, you see how things are going to pan out, and I think Barcelona may just end Real Madrid's unbeaten streak. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, at TYT Sports on Twitter, at Francis_Maxwell, and at Francis Maxwell Host. See you guys soon.